Tonight, a KGW exclusive.
Extremely frustrating.
And the lie authorities say some suspects are telling to try to delay or dodge jail.
That's a massive resource suck.
And KGW investigates why it's tying up police officers for hours. Plus, shot while serving an eviction notice.
I remember saying, I think I'm gonna die.
Why this wounded sheriff's deputy is now suing the apartment complex where it happened. Then, after fire shut it down for months, the team behind a beloved Portland restaurant proves its resilience.
It's back exactly how it was before it happened.
And later, fighter jet that flew missions around the globe and can land vertically makes a final grand entrance at its new home. A very good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Mulco. We begin with that KGW exclusive and an investigation into a growing problem across our region with police officers being pulled off the streets, all because a suspect claims, often under questionable circumstances, to have swallowed drugs. Investigative reporter Kyle Aboshi has our top story.
11 a.m., April 29th. Portland police, along with specially trained CERT officers, execute a search warrant in Northeast Portland. During an hours-long sweep of the property,
put your hands up. Put your hands up. Don't move.
They discover a woman in a camper.
Who else is in here?
Just me.
Hiding beneath a mattress.
Stand up slowly. I'm gonna try to help you out, okay?
Okay.
The woman is taken into custody.
Come on out.
An officer explains she's going to jail on an outstanding warrant, when suddenly the woman claims she swallowed drugs, fentanyl.
You have anything that's gonna hurt me? Stick me or poke me?
No.
Okay.
I just swallowed some flavor.
Oh, you did? Okay.
The woman, who's been hiding for the past 3 hours, shows no sign of drug use and has no answers.
How long ago did you swallow the Fenny?
What?
How do you not know?
Despite her questionable claim, police have no choice. They'll take her to the hospital.
We're going to go through the trials and tribulations of you going to the hospital. So we don't want to see you get hurt.
For the next 6 hours, a Portland police officer will stay with the woman, follow medics to the hospital, and accompany her to the emergency room. They'll be tied up with this one suspect who claims to have swallowed drugs for almost an entire shift until she's evaluated and cleared by doctors, then sent to jail.
Frustrating?
Extremely frustrating.
Police call it dope swallowing.
Once they figure out they're going to jail, they will tell you, I swallowed dope. Sometimes they'll be specific, heroin, fentanyl, meth, whatever, but they'll usually just say that they swallowed dope.
Officer Rob Brown has seen it too many times to count.
Most of the time, the motivation is not to go to jail. What they're hoping for is me to decide I'm not going to waste my time and either give them a ticket or just straight cut them loose and let them go.
Law enforcement doesn't track dope swallowing cases, but police agencies around the Portland metro area admit it's a problem they've been dealing with for years, as word is spread among criminals.
It's very common for this to happen.
That's a massive resource suck.
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
Bogus claims of dope swallowing keep officers off the street and divert resources away from real emergencies.
There's community members who are calling 911 or calling non-emergency asking for our assistance, and we've got part of our resources are just stuck essentially babysitting somebody.
The community is suffering because of either people swallowing drugs or saying they're swallowing drugs and they actually haven't.
We're literally sitting in a chair in the hospital room. There's nothing that we can do as far as, enforcement action, law enforcement action.
Police explain they can't ignore someone claiming they ingested drugs. Even if it's fishy, it must be treated as a medical emergency.
This all boils down to liability.
In 2018, a work group made up of Multnomah County prosecutors, police, and doctors created a plan to address dope swallowing, including dedicated hospital space and an officer to monitor those who claim to have ingested narcotics. But that plan was derailed due to the pandemic. The work group also created this form, warning suspects who falsely claim to have ingested narcotics that they're diverting resources from people who really need it, and they could face additional charges, including felony theft of services, escape, initiating a false report, and even federal Medicaid fraud. Meanwhile, elsewhere,
penalty for false statement during drug arrest by Representative Ivory.
Last year, state lawmakers in Utah created stiffer penalties for those who lie about ingesting drugs when they're being arrested.
Creates all kinds of time an expense for law enforcement, medical professionals, and it creates a separate penalty for doing that.
The Utah lawmaker behind the legislation claims it's working. For now, police in Oregon are tackling this problem by simply waiting it out when resources are available.
That trick's gone way by a long time ago. You're not getting freed up for it.
Instead of writing a ticket or cutting them loose, officers will wait with a suspect for as long as it takes to make sure they end up in jail. Kyle Aboshi, KGW News.
As long as it takes. By the way, if you have a story idea for Kyle to investigate or a problem you want him to highlight, I'm sure he's going to be following up on this one. You can reach out anytime at 503-226-5041. You can also call Kyle at kgw.com. Always appreciate his work there. All right, to get you caught up on tonight's other headlines, Portland police and fire investigating a suspected arson at a playground outside a local nonprofit. Investigators say someone intentionally set fire to this playground Sunday morning at Cairo Academy on Southeast 139th and Stark. Cairo serves immigrant, refugee, and low-income families and had just finished building the structure. Investigators are now looking into whether this was a bias crime. A Salem man was sentenced today to more than 8 years in prison after authorities said he used what was a fake explosives vest here to rob multiple businesses. Prosecutors say Nicholas Contreras Salmion hit 2 Woodburn grocery stores earlier this year. In both cases, he demanded money, then showed workers he was wearing a vest that looked like it was strapped with dynamite. At one point, he even hit a button, prosecutors say, activating red flashing lights. Police later found the vest and called in the bomb squad, which said it did not, in fact, contain explosives. And in Washington County, a certified nursing assistant has been arrested for allegedly stealing a patient's credit card and using it on a spending spree. A grand jury indicting Jeanette Collins on multiple charges, including criminal mistreatment and identity theft. Police say Collins worked at the OHSU Hillsborough Medical Center. We are showing you her photo because they believe she may have other victims. We'll take a live look outside on this Monday night, the 4th day of August, a day that started a bit overcast, but eventually cleared out to show that summer sunshine. Chief Meteorologist Matt Sfino is here, apparently tracking a chance of rain. Who would have thought, Matt?
Yeah, that's right. We don't get a lot of it in August, but we are going to get some this week. Outside right now, it's a really nice night, clear 65 degrees, so nice and cool out there. Already on Doppler radar, it looks like there's rain off the coast, but when we look at our time lapse on the Oregon coast, you can see there's just scattered high clouds, made for an interesting look, but none of these producing rain, so I think what radar is seeing is actually probably not reaching the ground, just these scattered mid and high level clouds showing up on radar. But it is going to rain as we go into late tomorrow night and Wednesday, and the rainfall anywhere between about 1/10 to 2/10 up to half an inch as you go north of the Columbia River. So that'll be interesting. That's our first significant rain in about 3 weeks. You got to go back to the 21st of July, the last time we had any meaningful rain of any kind at all. After that, though, we see another big switch towards hot weather next week. We'll let you know how hot later on. David?
Hey, a little rain, a little cool down never hurts this time of year. Thanks, Matt. New tonight, a Washington County deputy shot while serving an eviction notice on a tenant is now suing the owners of the apartment complex for over $20 million. Alma McCarty's in the newsroom with those details. Alma?
Yeah, David, 2 years after an armed man shot Civil Deputy Charles Dozay 7 times, the new lawsuit claims those responsible for running the complex in Tualatin were negligent, insisting they should have done more to let law enforcement know what they were walking into.
On July 26, 2023, patrol cars descended on the apartment building. First responders brought in a helicopter to rush Washington County Civil Deputy Charles Dozay to Emmanuel Hospital in critical condition.
It was a day that I won't soon forget.
He'd spend 2 weeks there after he was shot 7 times, including twice in the head, causing him to lose his left eye and multiple teeth. His daughter spoke with KGW before he was released.
I trust his skills and I trust his knowledge and I trust his abilities. But of course, just being in this line of duty, you do have fear that you have to work through.
Deputy Dozay was serving an eviction notice to a 34-year-old named Chris Graves. He told KGW last year this was a routine assignment.
Our day consists of serving subpoenas, restraining orders, orders of assistance, restraining order move-outs, and also evictions.
But this would turn out to be a life-changing call as the tenant started shooting after deputies broke down the door.
There was nothing in the paperwork that showed that there was any sort of risk.
A new $23 million lawsuit filed almost 2 years to the day after the shooting claims the apartment owners and the people managing it were negligent.
My dad was the first one in and immediately got shot. Like, how do you even prepare for that?
The lawsuit claims not only did the apartment owners and managers fail to take steps to de-escalate the situation in the months leading up to the eviction, they allegedly did not let Deputy Doze know the tenant might pose a danger to himself or others. Documents detail how Graves stopped paying rent that spring and was uncooperative with property management, and how he covered the windows and was heard screaming by other tenants in the middle of the night. After this several-hour standoff, a SWAT team found the suspect dead inside the apartment.
The sheriff's office tells me that Doze remains on leave, calling him an incredible human and a dedicated professional whose continued recovery is an inspiration. I reached out to various defendants who are named in this case. Only Pacific Urban Investors, a real estate investment business, responded to say that they do not comment on pending litigation. David, back to you.
Well, thanks, Alma. Appreciate the follow-up there.
Come to me. You're under arrest. Hey, listen to instructions. Walk back to me now.
Well, tonight, new body camera video from Thurston County, Washington shows the moments before a fight broke out between a sheriff, whose voice you just heard, and a driver suspected of DUI. Now, before that, Sheriff Derek Sanders says the driver was speeding, nearly rear-ended another car, passed in a no-passing zone, and there is more, sped off. Sanders accused the suspect, Ivan Mendez, of throwing liquor in his face before the struggle started in the family's driveway in Lacey. He says Mendez grabbed his throat and kept grabbing at his vest. The video shows Mendez being tased before police release a canine on it. Mendez's sister was woken up by all the chaos, called using that canine excessive.
He still brought the canine. My brother there's no way for my brother to do anything at all to them, at all. Like they already had him. They already had him pinned down.
Mendez was taken to the hospital before he was arrested. He now faces several charges, including DUI, assault on a peace officer, and resisting arrest. In the Seattle area, a young girl evacuated from Gaza this past week is now in Bellevue, holding onto hope that she may one day walk again. According to the nonprofit Heal Palestine that organized her arrival, 12-year-old Siba is part of the largest group of injured Palestinian children to be evacuated since the attack on Israel by Hamas in 2023. This January, Siba, the nonprofit says, was caught in an Israeli airstrike. Both her legs had to be amputated, and she suffered shrapnel wounds to her abdomen. Her social worker, acting as her interpreter, says she is in the U.S. to be fitted for prosthetic legs.
After her prosthetics, all she hopes for is that Siba can live a normal life where she can play, walk, be more independent. That's all they dreamt about when they were back in Gaza.
Yeah, not too much to ask for, right? Siba is one of 11 injured Palestinian children evacuated to the U.S. by Heal Palestine.